Welcome back to Living Local. Joining us today, we have Mary Alice Monroe. She's a New York Times best-selling author. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you for inviting me to come talk about what I'm passionate about.
I am super excited. We're going to talk about your new book, The Summer Guest, but I want to talk a little bit about you.
Yeah.
Like your background, who are you?
I am, well, first and foremost, a storyteller. But my inspiration for stories comes from the landscape, from endangered species, from the environment. I don't have a story first. I choose a species. And that's sort of unique to the way my process. And I just used my intuition to tell me it's time to work on this animal, discover this species now. And that's how I get my ideas for story.
Because you're big into turtles.
Oh, I'm the turtle lady.
And dolphins, right?
Dolphins.
And this time around for your new book, you chose horses.
Which is not an endangered species, but they really are. I chose them for two reasons. One, the intuition. I was like,
Yeah, because I feel like they can like look inside your soul.
They
I'm like,
can.
What do they know?
And I don't own a horse, and I don't ride, although I did when I was little. I think a lot of us, as we talked, do. But I think we all care about horses because they're part of our culture. They're iconic for Western culture, and they are beautiful. But they're big. And so a lot of us don't have them in our backyards either. They're very expensive to maintain, but we care. But I was really concerned about the way we're discarding horses in the United States. We don't kill them like through euthanasia. When they're discarded, they're no longer wanted. They're getting old. People don't want them anymore. They're too expensive. They just put them into kill lots.
What is a kill lot?
A kill lot means the horses go, we don't kill them in this country. They're packed in cattle cars, squished in there, mistreated, and brought across the border, either to sometimes Canada, but usually Mexico, where they are not killed, they're slaughtered for meat.
I didn't eat. Oh, goodness. All
So
right, I'm not.
that's another topic.
Yeah,
And
wow.
honestly, I thought there was a story there. And so I began working with groups that would rescue horses from kill lots and feed them and rehome them. But I couldn't find the story. It just, it's a tough story to tell. And it just wasn't coming to me. So what happened was, instead, I evacuated for Hurricane Irma, and I went to my friend Cindy's house up in Tryon, North Carolina, to evacuate with my 3 dogs, my 5 canaries, and my goldfish. And up we went with a bunch of other people from Florida. And that's when I got to get a sense of what the story was really about, evacuation. And all these people brought their horses with them. So we had amazing horses at the farm. We had rescue horses that were evacuating from Florida, and we were helping to brush them, feed them, take care of them. And all these people came together in the neighborhood, but also up at the farm where I was staying. We were helping the horses. And it was that sense of helping each other and loving the horses and the dogs everywhere that I thought, okay, now I'm feeling the story. The horse is probably the most beautiful. When I learned that they have 15 different facial expressions. Horses have these gorgeous brown liquid eyes. And when you look in their eyes and they know you, they recognize you, there's that connection.
That's where the reading me through my soul type deal.
It is, and they do, and they know if they can trust you because they're prey animals. And when you make that connection with them, that's when I knew I had something to write about. And I have to tell you, the best part was when I slept above the barn during the evacuation. She put me in the loft.
Oh, that was awesome.
It was, everyone else got the houses, and at first I'm going, I got the barn.
You're like, what's she trying to tell me?
I got then maybe she doesn't like canaries or something. So I slept upstairs, and what was so great was at night, I finally turned off the TV. You know how you listen all the time? And the horses were communicating to one another downstairs. I was over the stalls, and I could hear them. And they whinny, and they nicker, and they, kick the stalls. They're letting each other know where they are, and it's like listening to a cat purr. Very soft, and it was so beautiful that's when I knew I was feeling it.
Do they have those on sound makers? I don't think
they should.
They should. I think you're onto something. Because when you find a horse lover, I find that they're like dog lovers.
Horse people are dog people.
Yeah.
100%. And they brought their dogs. So it was just this huge evacuation group at this farm with horses and dogs and chickens too, but I didn't include those in the book.
Yeah, chickens geek me out a little bit, but I have an appreciation
Oh,
for
I
them.
want chickens so badly.
My sister used to have like a chicken farm, and I'd be like, and she just would go and
Yeah.
scoop them up like that. I'm like,
They're
what
quite
are you doing?
friendly,
I know.
but they
There's
poop a lot.
Yeah, they do. They do. So what I noticed in your book is, you're big on relationships, and you were
Yes.
just, talking about that. But the other thing was kind of boiling it down to what's important in life. If you have to flee, if you have to, go at a moment's notice, what would you bring with you?
That was the core question that I asked, and it all came from that one evacuation trip. I've been evacuating for over 20 years, and most of us I live on Isle of Palms, so most of us stay on the island for Category 1s. But sometimes they get bigger than that. They're like, oops, sorry, that's a Category 2.
I'm out. Yeah.
So when you're stuck, you're stuck. So I have learned over the years that when they say go, go. So evacuation for me has become de rigueur. I will not stay. I'm afraid of them.
Oh, yeah.
And I do know too much because I talk to experts in the field. And hurricanes with climate change will intensify. We'll see more 3s, 4s, 5s,
Wow.
and who knows beyond. And they're slower moving hurricanes.
So don't they get more power as they?
Well, they have water events. So they're dumping a lot of water, slow moving, which causes flooding. So hurricanes are not only wind events, they're becoming major water events. And I think people are getting concerned to leave for living near creeks and rivers, and of course the oceans for surges. And so when they say to leave, they mean you should leave because you don't want to get stuck on Highway 26 or I-95 because that's a parking lot, as we
it's
know.
a nightmare. Yeah.
And so-
especially if you have a bunch of animals and things, right?
Well, that's the question. When you have a bunch of animals, the question I come up with is where do you go? A lot of the hotels won't take you, or
That's a
the
good
ones
point.
that do take animals are filled. And if you have a horse, that's a whole nother level of concern
Oh, yeah.
completely.
That would be problematic,
You have
I
to
would
know
think.
where you're going. And the question I want everyone to ask themselves, when they finish the book, they went to the farm, they had this evacuation, there's a love story, all that. They close the book, and I'm going to ask them to think, what are you going to bring with you? If you have to leave, what do you treasure? What do you really value if you never came back?
And I know what mine would be. My dog and my blankie. I know. I'm 35 years old and I'm going to own it
You know,
because
if that's what you value,
that's my
make
life.
sure you
I'm
put
like,
that in the
just
car.
own it, right?
And a go-to box.
And a go-to,
Everyone
yes,
should have your
that's
go-to
my
box with your
documents, right.
insurance, birth certificates, all that. And when listen to the experts this year, when they say to leave, please don't be apathetic, leave.
So listen to Rob Fowler and Josh Marters
Rob
and all
will tell
them.
you what to
Yeah,
do.
he knows what's going on. All right, well, thank you again
Thank you.
so much. You are wonderful. I really appreciate it. And more Living Locals coming your way. Stay tuned. We'll be right back.